one. But in the last class, we talked about the quadratic functions. And today I want to go ahead and I want to talk about the polynomial functions. Right? In particular, I want to talk about the cubic functions. Okay. But क्या था? What was a linear function? A linear function was of the form fx is equal to ax plus b. What was a quadratic function? A quadratic function was of the form fx is equal to ax square plus bx plus c. Now, what will be a cubic function? A cubic function will be of the form fx is equal to ax cube plus bx square plus cx plus d. So when we talk about a cubic function, जो highest power होता है x का, that is 3. You will notice that this power, highest power of x, that is 3. So when the highest power is 3 beta, उसको हम cubic function बोल देते हैं. In general, any polynomial function px can be written as ax to the power n plus bx to the power n minus 1 and so on till some variable, so यहाँ some constant, suppose z, x to the power 1 plus another constant, यहाँ पे हम लिख सकते हैं से प्लस a नॉट. ठीक है, या इसको ऐसे भी लिख सकते हैं an x to the power n plus b plus a n minus 1 x to the power n minus 1 plus ax plus a1 x1 plus a naught. This is the general form of your polynomial function. इसको हम general form बोल सकते हैं polynomial function का. ठीक है. Now what we want to go ahead and what we want to do is कि एक बारी हमारा ये general form आ गया, so try to understand that your this constant बेटा an it should be non-zero, क्योंकि अगर ये zero हुआ तो ये nth power निकल जाएगा. I am writing the general form of the nth polynomial जिसका highest power n है. जैसे यहाँ पे a cubic function is any function whose highest power is 3, right? तो if this a becomes 0, अगर ये a ही 0 हो जाएगा, so automatically I understand that it will become a quadratic function. If I want this to be a cubic function, I want to make sure that the highest power 3 is there. And for the highest power to be 3 to be intact, I want to make sure that a is not equal to 0. This part has to be intact. Similarly, here beta, if I want x to the power n to be intact, I want the highest power of this polynomial to be n. तो मुझे इंश्योर करना होगा कि an जो है वो non-zero है, right? For example, if n is 4, my polynomial will become a4x4, a3x3, a2x square, a1x, a0. Okay. And for this polynomial to be a polynomial with highest power 4, I have to ensure कि ये जो a4 constant है, this should be non-zero. This should be non-zero. ये बात समझ में? Now, if I talk about the zeros of the polynomial, zeros माने if I talk about the factors of the polynomial, है ना? So what were the factors of polynomial या zeros of polynomial? Anything such that px equal to 0. ठीक है, तो अगर मुझे एक nth order polynomial को solve करके उसके factors निकालने हैं, हाँ, तो it will be an x to the power n, an minus 1 x to the power n minus 1, an minus 2 x to the power n minus 2 plus a naught equal to 0. I will equate it to 0, right? And all those x's which will solve this equation, जो भी x's इस equation को solve करेंगे, all those x's which will solve this equation, beta they will be called as the factors of this equation. ठीक है, all possible x's that will solve this equation will be called as the factors of this equation. ठीक है, similarly अगर मेरे पास एक cubic equation होता है, a3x to the power 3, a2x square, a1x plus a0, those x's which solve this cubic equation become the factors of this cubic equation or the zeros of this equation or the zeros of this equation. ये बात समझ में आती है? अच्छा, अब एक और चीज है, let's take an example. So suppose if I tell you find the zeros of x cube minus 2x square plus x minus 2 equal to 0. Because मुझे zeros निकालने हैं, I will equate it to 0. So what I can go ahead and what I can do is, question is asking find all possible x's such that this equation is satisfied. ठीक है, but question ने थोड़ा सा एक tweak कर दिया question को, and it is also asking you find all possible integer roots to the equation. Find all possible integer roots to the equation. Right, find all possible integer roots to this equation. अब ध्यान से मेरी बात सुनना. हाँ बेटा, क्या करते हैं हम, कैसे निकालते हैं? सबसे पहले हम इस फैक्टर पे जाते हैं, ये है -2, और हम -2 के इंटीजर्स बनाते हैं. माने -1 into 2 is -2, -2 into 1 is -2, 2 into -1 is -2, 1 into -2 is -2. तो इसके जो पॉसिबल इंटीजर रूट्स हो सकते हैं, अगर हम इसके पहले फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी आर फाइंडिंग द फैक्टर्स ऑफ दिस -2. अगर हम इस -2 के पॉसिबल फैक्टर्स निकालें बेटा, सो वी गेट द पॉसिबल फैक्टर्स एज -1, -2, 2 and 1. दैट मीन्स +-1 एंड +-2. ठीक है, ये इसके पॉसिबल फैक्टर्स हो गए. What we can go ahead and do is we can put these possible factors in this equation and see which of them satisfies the value of the equation. कौन सा इन चारों को डाल के देखेंगे हम इस equation में, और देखेंगे कि कौन सा ऐसा x है जिसको डालने से ये equation equal to 0 plug in हो पा रहा है. So let's say I begin with x equal to 1. So 1 cube minus 2 into 1 square plus 1 minus 2. तो बेटा 1 minus 2 plus 1 minus 2, 2 minus 2 minus 2, this is not equal to 0. ठीक है, now let's put x as -1. So I'll get -1 cube minus 2 into -1 square plus -1 minus 2. तो हो जाएगा -1 minus 2 into 1 -1 minus 2. That means this is also not equal to 0. फिर हम ट्राई करेंगे बेटा x equal to 2. 2 cube minus 2 into 2 square plus 2 minus 2. This is giving me 0. This is giving me 0. तो if this is giving me 0, तो हमारा पहला रूट 1 निकल के आ जाता है, that x equal to 2 satisfies this equation. x equal to 2 satisfies this equation. तो अगर बेटा x equal to 2 इस equation को satisfy करता है, तो हमारा जो फर्स्ट रूट हो जाता है वो हो जाता है x minus 2. Our first root will be x minus 2. So we have got one of the integer roots. क्वेश्चन था find all possible integer roots. सारे ऐसा x का वैल्यूज निकालना था which would have satisfied this equation. I had to find all x's which would have satisfied this equation. और मैंने एक x निकाल लिया है. I found one such x which satisfies this equation, which is x equal to -2. Is it clear? अब क्वेश्चन याद है कि हाउ कैन वी गो अहेड एंड हाउ कैन वी फाइंड द रिमेनिंग एक्सेस, हम बाकी एक्सेस कैसे निकाल सकते हैं? दैट्स द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन दैट वी हैव, एंड दैट इज प्रीटी सिंपल. बट उसके लिए वी हैव टू गो अहेड एंड वी हैव टू लर्न समथिंग विच इज कॉल्ड एज रिमाइंडर थ्योरम. हमें इसके लिए कुछ पढ़ना पड़ेगा और उसको हम बोल देते हैं रिमाइंडर थ्योरम. दैट इज समथिंग आई एम गोइंग टू डू इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास. विल कंटिन्यू विद दिस क्वेश्चन, बट फर्स्ट आई विल डू द रिमाइंडर थ्योरम विद यू. ओके बेटा, थैंक यू.